Hi, is it Andrea?
Yeah, Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. You're on with Jenna and
It's a
Anthony.
pleasure to talk to you guys.
You too.
Hi, Jenna. Hi, Anthony. Yeah, my question is specific for Anthony, but of course I'm happy to hear what you think too, Jenna, which is whenever I talk to people about and with curiosity about what they believe, and this is specifically true for I think politics even more than religion. Some people, love to tell you what they think, but a bunch of people really feel attacked immediately, even if you are incredibly cautious and gentle about it. What do you guys think about it? What's your perspective, and what can we do about it?
I could tell you why I got defensive when people asked me about my beliefs, if that helps, because I can't really speculate for other people, but I know that if somebody were to come up and start questioning my beliefs, that immediately would set off an alarm that they don't agree with me already. And when I was a believer, I was under the impression that everybody believed, that everybody was on the same page as me. And so if somebody were to give me an impression that they are living in a completely different world than I am mentally, then that was something that I was taught to be aware of, to be warned, to put up your guard, hear no evil, see no evil. If you have no idea what it is, assume it's evil and run away. And so I was conditioned for my guard to go up when somebody were to challenge my beliefs, especially if they were, why would they do that unless they were trying to change my mind? And so if somebody was trying to change my mind, I was told that that's the devil, that is directly the devil doing work in my life. Wow. So it was scary to me.
Gotcha. Do you think there's anything that a person could have done to kind of come off less aggressive, or what do you think? Or it's just, just there's a defense mechanism and there's nothing to do about it?
I think that when I was like that, there was nothing that somebody could do except allow me to be exposed to other people and witness other people practicing their beliefs without me being forced to be involved, without feeling like I had to participate. I could be a silent observer, make my own judgments, and then make my own decisions from there.
See, that's interesting because that happens a lot with this actual show. There are people who aren't calling in, but are observing the interactions, and they're safe. They're observing it. They're not in the hot seat. They are contemplating the questions that are being asked and the things that the hosts are saying or asking. And that's awesome. Now, I'm glad that you answered that from your perspective, because I was going to answer it in terms of the interactions that I've had with hundreds and hundreds of people. And
that's great too.
Yeah. And I do notice an initial defensiveness, especially if it's a cherished belief that is part of who they are. So there are a lot of things that you can do, I suppose, to help a person feel comfortable to allowing you to question it. But despite your best efforts, you can still run into somebody who just doesn't want to talk about it. It's off limits to them. Now, there are ways that you can still teach a person to be critical about their views, and it's different topics altogether. And it's not this lightning rod or the third rail of beliefs. You can chip away, I suppose, or at least explore safer topics with your conversation partner with an idea of, building trust. So sometimes I notice somebody becoming very defensive when I'm just simply asking, well, when you say God, exactly what do you mean by that? And you can notice in their body language that it appears that they're becoming defensive. They may even say, or you can even notice it in the words that they're using, that they're becoming defensive. So sometimes just recognizing that you've hit a nerve and pulling back a little bit and giving them a little bit of room to think about something completely different, or even revealing your own position can actually open a person up. You could say, I used to believe what you believe today too, and I no longer do. And if you're interested, I can tell you why. And if they can see that you're being sincere and you're listening to them and you're being respectful to them, they will probably start opening up and giving that back to you in return. But I wouldn't recommend doing it as like a gimmick to open them up. Like, really be sincere.
Right.
Like, I was where you were at. I didn't find it convincing once I really started thinking about it. And I got to tell you, it was a little bit challenging for me at times. I struggled with this. So it wasn't an easy thing. But if you're willing, if you would like to allow me to question you on this view, I'd love to be able to do it, but you're under no pressure to do so. just like I said, just lay it all out on the line and go where they take you. And sometimes people just aren't ready for it.
I think sincerity is the key. I think that if somebody were to question me and not be sincere, I think that I could have sensed it right away and my guard would have gone up no matter what they said.
Right.
You have to be
and
sincere.
I'm noticing that especially basic, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're
Please
good.
go.
Oh, I'm noticing that especially basic questions, like when Anthony, you just mentioned, what do you mean by God? It's a very basic question, but especially those, to me, it feels like people get caught off guard and they feel particularly attacked, and as if you're like playing some game.
Right. So, listen, you know how I'll go with my camera, and I've learned really early on to uppercase the G in God, because I've seen people just shut down completely by using a lowercase g. But then there are some people who are nonplussed by it. They're not bothered by it at all. They don't even notice that it was a lowercase g.
Well,
they may even write.
Right.
Well, but just there's some like I don't want to say families, but at least units of people that get together and create this like echo chamber to where, for example, if somebody were to be writing out an email to this group of people and lowercase the G on God, that would be a direct symbol to that. That would be like a dig at them. Like that's actually how people in that group would use that if they.
Yeah. But here's the thing. This is the important thing. How are you reacting? Like, hopefully you're fortunate enough where they pointed out to you, or you can notice that they were upset that you did something, so that you can make a genuine attempt to correct it.
Yes.
Like say, I didn't realize it was that important to you. From this point on, I'll uppercase the G in God. And you don't have to do it in a snide way. Like it doesn't. You can even just be honest with them. Like it honestly, it doesn't really matter to me if it's an uppercase G or not. But it seems like it's important to you. And that's good enough for me to go along with you.
Right.
And to kind of put it into perspective, this might be a little bit controversial to bring this up, but in validating when there's a theist who is resisting allowing or resisting using somebody's correct pronouns, right? Because it doesn't affect them, then I would compare those two things and say, well, if it matters to the person that you're referring to, or if it matters to the person that you're talking to about this God, I think that it's a respectful thing to, if it matters to you and it doesn't matter to me, I'm going to do what's respectful to you.
Mm-hmm. But again, just to caution, this isn't agreeing to disagree. This is being compassionate about a person that is probably important to you, like it's a family member or a friend, or maybe if it's even a stranger, and giving a little for the benefit of the entire conversation moving forward, right? Like recognizing, okay, this is important to you. I'm okay going along with it. Let's continue if you're comfortable doing so. And that act alone could have amazing implications for the quality of your conversation going forward, because you've built trust. You've recognized that this is important to them. You're moving at the pace that they're comfortable moving at. And that's a huge part of the in my view, the approach of this SE stuff, this street epistemology stuff is acknowledging that these beliefs are very dear to people. People will fight tooth and nail to protect their beliefs, especially if they think they're good people because they're holding them. So sometimes you have to be nice, even though maybe you don't necessarily want to or don't think it's necessary yourself.
Well, but you also want to kind of be an example and show the behavior that you're looking for. Would you look for that same respect back?
What I found though is that I don't know if I mentioned this, if you do extend that, usually it does come back to you. That now it might be coming from a place of pity if you're talking to a theist who's like, oh, this poor atheist. Mm-hmm. But in any event, you're being more human to each other. You're being nicer to each other. You're being more respectful to each other. And that's the lubricant that makes conversations really flow. Mm-hmm. So, but it's tough. It's tough, especially when if you've overcome a belief that you are now convinced to a high degree of confidence is not true. And you look at that and you kind of view it as sort of childish. But I would just ask yourself to try to put yourself in their shoes. That's what we're pretty good at doing, aren't we? We're kind of empathetic people for the most part. Most of us are, I think, or at least we try to be. So let's try to roll with that.
That was very helpful. I really love to hear from you both. Thank you very much, and love you guys.
Thanks, Anthony or Andrea. Sorry.
Oh, we got a love out of that one. Very nice. That's nice.